All right. So,
There he
hey,
is. Hey,
Brad,
Matt.
how's it going? I had to keep up with being able to do a live stream every week. So here we are, right? This is kind of a last minute thing. I was just thinking, oh, I had a kind of a busy week again. And I just thought, well, we should, try to keep with the schedule. So here we are. Plus, of course, the Australian Open, just
Yeah.
started. So we have to talk about. I couldn't go to sleep last night until I was like thinking. When I went to sleep last night here, I didn't know for sure if Djokovic was going to be able to stay or not. And then,
Right.
of course, this morning that news came out that the final word was that he had to go home and stuff.
Yeah.
And so, it's one of those things where it's beyond him, right? It's bigger than him. And
Yeah.
like even Nadal had said, he's a great player and he brings a lot to the game, basically. But the Australian Open or any tournament is bigger than one person, and it's bigger than me, bigger than Nadal, all that kind of stuff, right? So, I
Sure.
mean, so he's basically saying that, there's lots of great players that can make the tournament. The tournament's going to be great with or without him. This has got to go on, right? And
Right. Sure.
so, I think ultimately it's good to see that everybody has to adhere to some kind of law like that. That you're not above, you're not above reprieve on that reprieve. You're not above the law, basically, on
Yeah.
just because you're a superstar, right? I mean,
Yeah. It sounds like there were a lot of mistakes made. I mean, even just letting him come in the first place. I mean, if they weren't going to let him be there, how did he end up getting approval to come? Like, how are there so many, you know, it just seems like there's errors, on both sides. But it's unfortunate for Novak because this is the second Grand Slam that he had a good shot to win it. The U.S. Open where he, just that accident where a ball hit the line judge, he wasn't looking, hit it over his shoulder. So that's a Grand Slam he could have won. And then here's another one, where certainly he could have won it. He's the number one player in the world, and he's been the hottest player on tour for a long time. So it stinks for every tennis fans, just everyone. It was a really unfortunate circumstance that happened with everything. It's just but it's just one of those things. It's people get very defensive and about the vaccines, and it's one of those things that he's really against them. He doesn't want to put something in his body that and he's not the only one. And so that's fine. It's just too bad that it affected him where now he can't compete. What I must have hit a button. My phone watch keeps going off. Um, so, but anyway,
yeah.
it's too bad. It's going to be a great tournament. The good news is there's a lucky loser who's now in the tournament because Djokovic
Mhm.
is out. So in that
Yeah.
number one spot, you've got a lucky loser who had to try to qualify this year. He lost in the final round of qualies,
Hmm.
and he has points to defend because last year he got to the second round of the main draw. So now he's back in the main draw, and he's plays another Serbian player.
Well,
Right?
right,
He plays
right.
another Serbian player first round. And so, and then there's an American. If he wins his first round, we'll be playing the winner of that match in the
Right.
second round. So,
And not just that, Brad. It's basically he was just given a big gift, right? Because he plays a match and goes home. Let's say he's $100,000 richer because
yeah.
you get $100,000 just for playing a match, right?
Yeah, I think it's
And so
103, right? Or
yeah,
something.
and so it's like wow, that's like I bet he just that was just elate. I'm sure he's pretty elated about that.
Well,
He's
that
pretty
can be your
excited about that.
expenses
So.
for the whole year, really,
Right.
travel and tournaments
Yeah,
and stuff. That can get you.
at that level and stuff. So
But
wow,
I'm trying to
that's
remember the player's name. Was it Caruso who got the wild card? Yes.
yeah,
Sam
yeah,
Caruso.
I looked at it earlier and I totally forgot. I was looking at some of the news for today and I wanted to watch some of the press conferences because those are always kind of fun to watch. Nadal had done a pre-tournament press conference. I didn't get a chance to watch that yet, but I was just watching the news. I was just reading the news about, the Serbian Olympic Committee, of course, their statement about, Djokovic and, their response to it. And so you're like thinking this is going to start like, a global war here
Well, that's
or
what I was
whatever,
saying. Good thing it wasn't like Russia or these big power countries,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it just stinks. I mean, I don't feel it was this malicious intent by the Australian government to embarrass him on a global stage. I mean, it just seems like, you know, there's a lot of things that go on that I'm not part of, you're probably not part of, and most of the people in the world are not part of that. This COVID has wreaked havoc on doctors, on nurses, on families, deaths, I mean, funerals, morgues. I mean, it's just been an absolute nightmare. And it just so happens that Australia is really, really strict. So it's not a surprise, really, that what happened, because we've known about how strict Australia is for 2 years now.
Yeah, and when you see like the restrictions and what the people had to do, because if you remember too in New York, remember back when we had all those restrictions everywhere,
Mm,
and you were so limited in anything, and then with employment and just whatever, the whole place shut down. And just think, Australia is probably feels a lot of that still because of all
yeah,
of those restrictions. And so, for somebody just to come in and be able to like, oh no, I can do what I want, I can do this and that, yeah,
yeah.
it's just not fair. And so, I think it's good that they upheld, their law, whatever it is, their ruling and
I
so
feel
forth,
for
so
Djokovic
yeah.
because he wouldn't have gone had he not been told it was okay to come, that he's in. So
Yeah.
it's just,
Yeah.
it sucks for him too, and it
Yeah.
sucks for Ivanisevic, and it
Yeah.
sucks for his team that
Yeah.
went there with him.
Right.
And look, whether I agree or don't agree with what happened, I was happy to see that he at least had support at the airport with him. The guy was down and he was knocked down, and it was
Hmm.
nice, that he had his team with him.
Yeah.
Because when he's not a bad guy, Djokovic. He's done a
No.
lot of great things for a ton of people that, there's stuff going
Yeah.
around the internet about all the charitable things he's done. I mean, he's
Yeah.
not a bad guy. And I don't like to see anyone down
Hmm.
and kicked like
Yeah.
that, but at the same time, it was not a surprise. It
Right.
was what was a surprise is that somehow someone told him he could come. That to me was a surprise, you know.
Yeah, or maybe he figured too that like, oh, you know what, it might not work out, but you know what, I have a better chance if I'm there. Because if
Yeah,
you're
that's
there,
true.
I think you might just have a better chance, because then it's
Yeah,
kind of like he's here already, he's ready to play, he's in the draw. But if you
yeah.
weren't even in the country, it might be just easier to say, you
Yeah,
know,
right. Good point.
and
Yeah,
just because of the whole press and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm thinking about, like going forward now, what's that going to mean? It could also exclude him from maybe going into other countries. I heard some commentators talking about, how this might affect him going forward. Anytime he
yeah,
wants to get into Australia or even a few other countries, he might have to have special privilege to get in and all that. But I think going forward, how he handles it now, I think we'll talk a lot about how, him as a person, him as his character and so forth,
yeah,
because I think he really needs to go back and talk to his team and really have somebody that can help him figure out, okay, well, how do I handle this now? Because you can either be really angry and go, and kind of be lashing out and so forth, or you can just take it, for what it's worth and learn from it and go, and move on. Because how the press is and how they'll just latch on to anything, and they'll just attack, many times, and just make
right,
it worse, right, for anything that
right.
you say. And so that could stay with somebody for quite some time, and for a champion like him, I think,
That's for sure.
yeah. So it's just one of those things. We have somebody that joined us today. I don't know the name, Savev or something like that.
Oh, I didn't
um
see anyone. I don't
yeah,
have
yeah.
the,
So, oh, that's right, yeah, you can't see it on your side, but yeah, he says hi, so that's somebody new this week. So
I think my camera froze. That's why. Can you
yeah,
hear me?
so are you going to be watching a lot of? No, I see. I can still see your camera. So are you going to watch a lot of Australian Open this week, next couple weeks?
Yeah, yeah, I'm planning to. I'm following. I'm going to follow. What I do is I follow the results a lot on my phone, so I'll keep
Yeah.
keep updated on who's winning, who's playing, um, and watch when I can and stuff. Certainly on some of the replays. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Raducanu has a good first match against Sloane Stevens, I believe. I'm curious to see how Leylah Fernandez is going to do, because
Hmm.
who was the luck? She was the lucky loser, right? Was Leylah Fernandez the lucky loser, or was she a qualifier
Oh, you know what? I don't know, because I haven't. I didn't
last year?
follow
I'm
that
saying at
early.
the U.S. Open. Who was but it's always, once a year, there's usually a
Mhm.
lucky loser who gets into a main draw of an event and either wins it or gets pretty far in it. So I always like seeing lucky losers. It's almost like they have another shot at life. It's like they brought you back from dead and now
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
give it
yeah.
your all and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
totally.
certainly watch it. It'll be you know, like you said, it's gonna be great to see what happens. Now, if Nadal happens to play great, he's the seeded number 6, so he's not necessarily the favorite here, even though
Mhm.
you wouldn't be surprised if he won it, but he's not the favorite. Um, he's got 21 slams now, so he passes Djokovic and Federer, who unfortunately both aren't there. So that'll be interesting. The women's side too, you feel like it's wide open. You feel like, there's enough 20 players who might be able to win it. It's hard to say on the women's side. So that's kind of exciting also. And on the men's side, we maybe this could be Sebastian Korda.
Mhm.
This is his tournament, or who knows, who knows if Zverev or who's going to come through, right?
Mhm. Yeah. And
Medvedev again.
yeah, I'm gonna have to spend a little bit of time because I don't normally have cable where I can watch just any of the matches. So I'm gonna have to figure out which network I can connect to for a month and
Yeah, how'd
and
you
be able to
make out with
watch
the
all the matches.
tsunami, by the way?
You know what? That's funny. A lot of people had noted that and had contacted. They were just saying, "Hey, are you okay?" And it must have kind of passed over. It didn't really affect us at all.
Yeah, good.
So I mean, I think usually what'll happen is on the North Shore, some of the other areas, the waves will be really big, and so if you can surf those kind of waves, you'll see people out there kind of risking their lives when those waves hit. But I don't think the waves were that big this time. But
Gotcha.
I could be wrong. But yeah, it's yeah, you never know because yeah, Tonga it's I don't know how many miles it is offshore, but yeah, that
Mhm.
sometimes does affect us. But yeah, no, yeah, thanks for asking. But
Yeah.
when you're living on an island, you just never know.
Yeah, geez. Man, so yeah. So
But
kicking off the year, I did some rackets. I strung about 6, 7 rackets this week.
oh, good.
So that was good to get some stringing in again. I had a kid who wanted to try hyper G in the mains and head hawk touch in the crosses, which was, sure, let's try it if
Hmm.
that's what you want to do there. It's we just put an 18 in the crosses, a thinner gauge, strung it a little looser, and hyper G in the main. So we'll
Hmm.
see how that comes out.
Yeah, the head hawk is a pretty good priced string.
Yeah, yeah, it
Um,
is.
which head hawk was it that you had?
Head hawk touch, 18 gauge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that was good.
Yeah.
One of the things I think I might
Ooh,
get
actually,
is
that one's a little pricey still.
what
$15. Okay.
yeah, right.
I,
It's
I,
but
th- I
it's
think it was the other. I think it was the head hawk. Um,
yeah, head hawk might be a little bit
yeah,
cheaper.
or maybe it was on sale or something one time, and that's why I was thinking the price was a little bit lower. But no, that's still a pretty premium priced string from what I can see now. But yeah.
Yeah, I Nathan made a comment. Hey, Nathan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too with Djokovic's sponsors. He's a huge face of head sports and just the
Hmm.
PR that, who knows, a lot of people are a lot more active than I am when it comes to calling companies when they're upset about someone,
Hmm.
so who knows what kind of support or calls they're getting, because they may get calls of support. Like, hey,
Yeah.
I feel horrible what happened with Djokovic. I'm gonna support you and buy some head rackets, and the other person, hey, screw Djokovic.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
getting rid
and
of
and
your head. You support him.
ultimately, when the companies choose spokesmen, right? There's obviously the contracts, and they say there's certain things you can't do, cannot do, and if you do certain things, to discredit the brand and those kind of things, then of course you're going to be thrown off of that paycheck. You're going to be without. But in cases like this, it's probably not that severe where it's going to really
Right.
affect, um, marketing and all those kind of things.
Yeah, yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't a felony or
Yeah, it wasn't a bad
DWI.
character, yeah, like a major character, uh,
Right.
about violation, like you're saying and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, I could see what you're saying though. It's like depending on how people really feel about all this. In Australia, I don't know really how everybody's feeling there. It must be
Yeah.
kind of crazy there right now, and just this is going to be in the news probably for the whole tournament. you're going to hear the commentators, right, talking about this, but hopefully they'll
We'll have to
get
ask
beyond it. So
yeah, we'll have to ask that kid that we were talking to during the symposium who does some stringing in Australia. Be
yeah,
curious
yeah,
what he's
it'd be
hearing
fun.
that way.
Yeah, it'd be fun to be there, but the stringers have already been working for about a week or so. It's not like they just started working. By this time they're in a good routine, and they've kind of are getting the probably settling in, and
Yeah, I see
just
you've got your Australian Open shirt on.
yeah,
What
I had to
what
put on
year
my
were you there?
shirt. Oh man, that was a while ago. That was probably 10 years ago that I was there in Australia.
Fun. Not that long
Yeah,
then,
10,
2011 or
11.
12?
Oh, you know what? Actually, it was 9, 2009.
2009.
Yeah,
Okay.
2009. I was there.
Who won it that year? Do you remember?
You know what? I
Probably
can't remember. I
Djokovic.
can't remember stuff that happened 2 years ago. You're asking me
Yeah,
to remember something from 10 years ago.
we'll look it up
No,
right
I
now.
can't remember. All I remember is the room that we were stringing in was like a fish tank, because it's like um, we were in a place where people can't, generally the stringing rooms in most tournaments are in a place where you can't public can't get access to it. However, what they wanted to do, it's like open with windows, right? So
Yeah,
people can actually be standing outside and watching all the stringers because they're kind of on a line along a line. So you'll have like 20 people standing like right, like inches away from you because of the windows right there,
yeah.
watching you string and stuff. So it's kind of interesting. You have
Yeah,
to
it was
be able to
Nadal
ignore
beat
that.
Federer that year that you were there in
Oh, okay,
5
okay.
sets, 6-2 in the fifth. Oh yeah, is it Save or Sav?
So yeah,
Yeah, so
so
he commented on one of your videos not long ago.
oh, okay. I'm
He had a
waiting for top. Oh,
really
oh,
nice
he's the one that's
comment.
waiting. Yeah, he's waiting for the top 5 hybrids for control video because we were going
Yeah,
to
we'll
talk
have to
about
do
some
that.
control. Yeah, that's right. Maybe we can work on that maybe next week or something. We can do that
Yeah,
one because I know we wanted to do another hybrid video anyways. We haven't done one in a while and stuff. So yeah,
yeah. I wonder
let's
what
do
he
that one.
currently uses.
Yeah, we'll have to find out
So
what he uses. But
yeah,
yeah, sometimes with the hybrids too, just changing up the gauge of the string, you could keep with the same strings, meaning you're going to use one for the mains and one for the crosses, and it could be the same string, but just change up the gauge even,
right.
or something similar in a different gauge, and that could already be changing up the properties enough where you can really tell the difference. I think,
Yeah, I had someone asked on one of the Facebook groups. They had two they had a head racket and they just bought another one. But the first one he had was an 18 by 20 pattern. Second one was 16 by 19, and all of a sudden he's losing control right on the 16 by 19. He's losing control, so he gets so he was asking advice, out there. So I gave him I asked him what he was using, and then gave him some suggestions on at least stringing it a few pounds tighter and going with a stiffer string in the crosses to soften the string bed a little bit. But
this
that's tough.
what is this
That's
on the 16 by 19 or the 18 by 20?
the 16 by 19 because
Yeah,
he wasn't getting the control. Yeah, did
yeah.
I say it the other way? Yeah, on the
No,
16
I
by
wasn't sure
19.
which one you were talking about, but okay, yeah, on
Yeah,
the 16 by 19, yeah, tightening it up a little bit
right.
because
So, but
the
that's
18 by
so
20.
hard. Um, that's quite a difference in pattern. So,
Yeah,
but
especially.
I asked him to try it out and let me know what he thought and if it was any better.
Oh, good. Yeah. Um, let's see. So, what else? What else do we want to touch on today? Did you buy anything? Did you get any new stuff this week? Any fun treasures?
I haven't, but I've got a couple big hitters who I think I would like to give them some new string options and get out of a full bed poly for a couple of them. So I was looking at ordering like 1.3 or bigger gauge soft cross string, like whether it was a NXT or, but I really would like to go something a little bit bigger because I don't want them to break it too fast. They're bigger hitters, so in natural gut, even though it can be fairly durable, it's expensive, so they don't really want that cost. So I was looking at, I think it's Technifiber has some 1.33, 1.35, and they even have like a 1.38. So I was thinking of getting a thicker string for some of these players to try and across because
Yeah, you know what? I have a suggestion for you. Maybe try the NXT the Duralast,
oh,
or I'm sorry, Duramax is what they call it.
okay,
It's the most durable version of the NXT, and
okay,
actually the numbers on that one. I was actually going to do a video specifically on this one string
yeah,
because when I went back and I looked at my all of the numbers that I had on my strings as far as tension loss and which ones held tension the best.
yeah,
I think the Duramax, um, yeah, the Duramax, I think actually held the tension better than the regular NXT. I'll have to go back and double check to make sure that that's the one that I'm referencing because I don't think I have that chart in front of me. I'm gonna look to see if I have it real quick. But
yeah.
yeah,
So
I don't have that one in front of me. But yeah, we'll have to look that one up and then maybe look into that. But I believe that one is probably going to be one that has better tension maintenance, and it actually comes in a 140, so you can actually get that thing in a 15 gauge.
no kidding, the
Yeah,
Duramax.
yeah, NXT Duramax 15 gauge, and it's it has all the other properties of NXT, of course, but it has like an extra
Same
polymid.
price probably.
It has an extra, yeah, it's 22, yeah, same price. It has an extra fiber for protecting and kind of an abrasion shield on it, and I think it has good tension control. So give that one a try if you want to stick with something soft. And it also comes in a 132. So if you want a little bit thinner,
Yeah.
because you were talking about you wanted more than the 130, but
Yeah, a little bit more just so these guys, I as much as I love them to break strings,
mhm.
I don't want to lose them to another place because, geez, every time Brad strings it, they break. It's like,
Yeah, I know, right?
let's go to a different shop. So I want them to give them a little something, a little thicker. But
Yeah. Well, we do have a question from Saviv. Um, he's
oh
using
yeah,
Lux. He's using Lux 4G in the mains with Gamma Professional, probably in the crosses, I would imagine. And
that's an interesting
yeah,
combination.
any recommendations and advice is welcomed.
Well, I
Um,
think we'd have to know a little bit his style of play and
yeah.
how that's working for him now. The 4G
And
is stiff.
what racket that's in too.
Yeah, what racket, what string pattern? The
Yeah.
4G is one of the
And what
stiffest
gauge.
strings out there.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it's you're up in the 280s with string stiffness, so you're not gonna, and it's a pretty good tension maintenance string too, actually, for a poly. It's in the 20s,
Yeah.
which is fairly low. And the Gamma Professional is a really soft string. I have both those back here.
Yeah,
The
and if
Gamma
you're using a real thin version of that, I wouldn't think it lasts very long. I mean, he's putting it in the crosses, so it's okay. But yeah, it's a pretty soft. Um, I mean,
Yeah,
I've
so
had
you've
good.
got two extremes there. Super,
Mhm.
super stiff, and like I said, the Gamma Professional is probably in the 150
Mhm.
probably string stiffness. So
Yeah,
you're lower than NXT, you're lower than X1 biphase as far as friendliness
yeah,
on the arm and stuff. So
and
I don't
then
know.
of
I would
course
almost,
tension, right? And of course tension maintenance. I'd want to look on, you know, just going to Tennis Warehouse and going to their university place where they have all of the specs on the
oh yeah,
strings and all of the tested.
let me pull
Then
that up
yeah.
right now.
Oh yeah, can you? Because
Yeah.
then we can
Okay.
look at what the Gamma Professional has as far as the number on that compared to, let's say,
Yeah.
the
Here it
NXT.
is.
Okay.
So we've got, if assuming they're both 16 gauge, right?
Yeah.
So we've got Luxilon 4G is a string bed stiffness of 287 compared to 150 for Gamma Professional.
Okay. And on the Professional, what's the maintenance? The string, the tension loss.
It's actually not as good as the 4G. It's
Really?
25.
That's poor
Unusual, right?
for an NXT. That's really poor. So look at the NXT, just the plain NXT, and tell me
No, no,
what that
I'm
number.
I'm talking about Gamma Professional. I thought that's what you were talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah. But can you also compare it to the what
4G.
what the tension maintenance on the NXT is?
Oh yeah, and the 4G tension maintenance is 23 on that.
Wow,
So
that's pretty. That's actually pretty good
it is for a
for
poly. Like,
poly.
yeah, so Wilson NXT
Yeah,
Duramax, you said
yeah,
that is 13. That's
yeah. It's one of
phenomenal.
the lowest tension losses, huh? That is a good
Wow.
maintenance. But of course, the lowest you can go on that's a 132. They only have it in a 132 and a 140. But like in your case, it would be great. Obviously, it's
Yeah,
not going to help Saviv.
right.
It's not going to help him. He's going to probably go. I mean, I would go with another NXT maybe. There's a couple other ones that have decent tension loss maintenance. In the
You know
20s
what?
probably.
The 140 Wilson Duramax, which I would consider
Hmm.
because it's still soft at 162 string stiffness, is a 17% tension loss.
Okay, so you're losing a little bit more on the 140 than you are on the
Yeah,
132, but yeah, so maybe that Gamma Pro that he's using, he might want to switch that out with something that keeps tension a little bit better.
yeah,
It might, I know it's in the crosses, but you're still losing tension and you're still going to feel it a little bit, whether it's in the
yeah.
crosses or the mains. So yeah, so maybe change out the Gamma Pro with something that keeps tension a little bit better, like a NXT or maybe look up even Wilson Sensation, which is maybe not as soft as NXT, but I think tension maintenance is pretty decent on that. Yeah, so
But
sometimes just changing
as
out.
far as hybrids for control, that NXT or the Luxon 4G is going to be a good one if
Yeah.
you're looking for control and stuff. So you're not getting a lot of comfort out of that
Hmm.
probably, but the
Yeah.
Gamma Professional is helping you with that.
Mhm. And really, when we're talking about any type of combinations we're trying to achieve, whether it's for control or what, that tension maintenance is always going to be a factor for me because think about the
Yeah,
control, right? Because if you're putting if you're putting a poly in the mains and you're going to be losing 40% of that tension within days or weeks or whatever, then where's that control at? You've lost half that performance. So I think I always weigh that into I always factor that into any decision I make as far as when I'm
well,
choosing strings and stuff.
that's
So
what I'm starting to shift towards in my stringing business is I'm really getting into tension maintenance because a lot of my people are clients that string or keep their strings for weeks on end. So that's really important that you get a string with good tension maintenance if you're going to keep it in your racket for a couple months. So I'm starting to educate some of my clients. Just yesterday or the day before, I was telling someone about that, and he was blown away. He didn't know that even was something you talked about with string characteristics and stuff. So I'm going to start kind of carrying strings that I think are good in that category. And if someone asks me for another string that's not, I'm going to tell them why I don't carry it. This is why I don't carry it. If you were on the tour and you were cutting them out every few days, then I would say it's good for you. But to keep them in your racket for 2 months, no way. You're going to get a couple weeks out of it that they're quality strings. So, you know,
yep, I mean that's really important. Like even in other sports or in other activities that you do, you're always going to be looking at the performance ratio, right? Because even with like in running shoes uh, or CrossFit shoes or whatever, I was looking that up myself because I've been walking a lot over this last year, with my wife and stuff. So we walk, 4 or 5 miles a day or whatever. And I was like wondering how long are these shoes really good for? And so I
yeah,
looked it up, and there's a certain amount of miles that you can really get out of a pair of shoes before really the soles and the performance out of them aren't going to do you any good. And it's important
yeah.
to know that because ultimately after that time period, what's going to happen? Your body's going to take a lot of that pressure and stuff. So you
Hard
got
to
to
believe that 100 years ago these marathon runners what they were running in with their
yeah.
shoes. We
I
couldn't
know.
even walk a mile in those
I
shoes
know, I
now.
know. We're spoiled. I know we're spoiled now.
We had
Okay,
another
so
question about here's something
yep.
else.
So we have some more information on the racket that he was using. He's using a Blade version 7, 16 by 19 pattern. and he's using the 4G with Element, but he wanted to try something softer, so he got the Gamma
Okay.
at 25 kilogram tension. So, okay, yeah,
Interesting. What
yeah,
gauge string? I mean, that's a pretty soft string, the 150 string stiffness. If you wanted to go something, you could go into like Dunlop Silk Pro. I think you're going to be down in like 130. The softest string you're going to get is natural gut. So if you want something softer, as you said, anything, I want to try something softer. So, if you can afford to get some natural gut, as long you'll get two rackets out of one set of natural gut, right? Because you only need half the string. So there's nothing softer on your arm than natural gut. So if you want to just go straight to the best, but if you don't want to go straight to the best, then it depending on how often you're breaking it, since it's in the crosses, maybe not as often. You could try like a 17 gauge,
yeah,
like Dunlop Silk Pro is going to be
yeah.
softer. There are
Or
plenty.
even Energy too, Technofiber Energy.
Yeah,
It's not too bad. There's lots of in that string. You have lots of variations as far as gauges and stuff too. So with
yeah.
those strings,
But like Pat said, go to Tennis Warehouse University and then click on the link where it says strings. And then under strings, click
hmm
on compare strings. And then there's a drop down menu, and you can pull up the strings and you'll see a nice uh, breakdown of the stiffness, the tension loss, the energy
hmm
return, spin potential. So it's a really nice kind of app that tells you what's going on,
yeah,
and you can get some really good
yeah.
education behind what you're putting in your racket.
And it sounds like he's going to give NXT a try next. And so it
Oh,
sounds like he
okay.
strings every 3 to 4 weeks. So yeah, really tension maintenance is going to be important. So getting a good combination there and something that's
Yeah,
not as stiff. So playing around with that. But again, I would say only play around with one. Only try one string at a time if you're going to make changes. Don't one variable. I think we always talk about because otherwise you're really not going to know what it is that you're if it's working or not, and what is it that created that change.
yeah.
Because if
You
you
always say that,
yeah,
and that's always good that you remind me that. It's so important to
yeah,
do that.
yeah, so change the string, try to keep the tension the same, and if you want to just change tensions up and keep the strings the same, do that, but just do one thing at a time to kind of see where it takes you, because otherwise you're going to get confused and you're not going to know what's creating what sometimes. So
Yeah, right.
yeah,
And
well,
also, I mean, if you really are struggling and really are looking for the most control you can get, then you're probably going to want to go to an 18 by 20 pattern. If you're having a lot of issues with that too, and you want to get more and more control. But when you do that, you're just going to, you're going to lose that power, and you're not going to have this the spin assist from the open bed. You're going to, get a little bit less spin with a
and you
tighter
could,
string.
yeah, and like you're saying, you could go thinner on the gauge, because you might not be breaking as much string, because there's going to be maybe less friction on the two strings, and so you might be able to go even thinner on the strings with an
Yeah.
1820. So
Yeah.
all right, well, hey, we've already gone about 33 minutes. I don't know, we were able to cover quite a few things there with a couple questions that we had and so forth. And I
Yeah.
think we're going to work on a video on some of those control hybrids. Maybe we'll do that one hopefully this week if we've got some time. And we have one more question. Okay, let's just answer one more question that came by John Per. I'm assuming these folks are from other countries. I don't. Yeah. What would be a good string for an extreme tour? I
What
used
does
to.
that mean? What do you mean?
Well, hold on. Well, here, let's read the rest of it.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, the extreme tour frame, I'm assuming. I used to play with shaped strings, but I feel that it's too hard to hit flat shots with so much spin. Looking for a good round poly that holds tension. A good string for the extreme tour. I used to play with shaped strings, but I feel that it's too hard to hit flat shots with so much spin. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see. I mean, my first thing would be, if you went a little bit thinner, um, if you went a little bit thinner with the poly, potentially you might be able to get a little bit more spin with that. Um, and depending on what string bed he has on the Extreme Tour. Um,
You know, well, first of all, he eliminates. Well, he or she. I'm not positive if it's a last name, first name, or just a. But you eliminate a ton of strings by one thing you said, um, hold tension. So you're probably going to get rid of 80% of polys out there because a lot of them just don't hold tension. So it's good there that you're going to narrow the field down quite a bit because like we were mentioning that 4G, that's, there's very few polys that are in the 20% tension loss category. Um, I believe this one here, I
yeah,
think.
and I think he just wants to get out of the shaped strings and go to something that it's a 16 by 19 pattern, I
Well,
think.
here's Kirschbaum, and this is
Mm-hmm.
around I believe around a 20 or 21% tension loss. So really, really good. It's a poly string for power and responsiveness. It's
Mm-hmm.
about a $15 string I put up here just so when I look at it, I know what I spent.
Mm-hmm.
It's got well, this says 11% tension loss because this is just by USRSA. They're a little bit different the way they describe tension loss compared
Right.
to Warehouse University. And the string stiffness is around 200. So this might be a good option for you. Try this Kirschbaum. It's 20%. Another one that's awesome is Solinco Confidential, which is around
Yeah.
22%. But
Yep.
this might have a little shape to it. So those are about maybe the two best that I've seen for holding their tension in polys and stuff. So
Yeah, and I think he just said that he was going to try 4G soft and Luxilon Alu power next week,
yeah,
and then he said I'll try Kirschbaum too. Yeah, the 4G soft, that's a little bit better than just the 4G. At least you got a little bit better, uh, maybe a little softer feel.
the only thing if I could mention to him is that ALU power is horrible at tension maintenance. You're looking at like 47% tension loss compared to these couple that I just showed you that are in the 20s. So that's horrible. Let me look. What was the other one he was going to try? Uh,
4G soft.
Let me see what 4G soft is real quick since I'm
Yeah,
on here.
since you had it up,
4G
right?
soft is pretty good at 26% tension loss. So, you know, both of them might feel good for a week or so, but the 4G is going to feel better for the second and third week compared to the ALU Power Soft. That's going to lose tension fast. So I feel confidential is a bit too stiff for me. Okay, well, the 4G is probably going to be way stiffer than. I'll do a comparison real quick since we're on here.
Well, the soft might be a little bit better because he's using the 4G soft. That might be a little bit softer then. I don't know.
The 4G soft is coming in at 217 string stiffness.
Oh yeah, so
And
that's still pretty stiff.
this, let me see. You might be right on the Solinco Confidential. Let's see where this is. Because they only offer Solinco Confidential, I believe, in 16 gauge. And that's coming in at, oops, sorry, here I just 222. So they're virtually identical. The 4G soft is just a few points softer. So might not be too noticeable, but you could give it a shot and let us know what you think.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't mind commenting, because we learn from you all, quite a bit too. So, but again, that Tennis Warehouse University is awesome. The USRSA website, if you're a member of the, depending on where you are, the United States Racket Stringer Association, they have all that on their website also. Or if you're in Europe, the European Racket Stringer
Yeah.
Association, they have quite a bit of information too. So,
And what really works out well is when you make a chart like this, like I've done, where this one particular is from all of the multifilaments off of off
yeah.
all the numbers for the multifilaments, and that way I can kind of look at it and do a comparison, just a visual comparison, and I can go, okay, well, let's see, if I'm looking at head FXP and I want to compare the stiffness of that, which is it's a pretty stiff string at 194, but I want a lot softer string. Well, Prince Premier Touch is, stiffness is 137. So I've gone way down, but,
that would be a good one for him to use, the Premier 137.
Yeah. And the tension loss is about, like, if I compare it from the FXP and the Premier Touch, they both have about 26% tension loss. So they're about the same. So they're not really great on keeping tension. So then I go to Technofiber NRG2, right? 17 gauge, 15% tension loss, and stiffness is 164. So it's a little stiffer, but not near 200. So yeah. So when you put it all together, I think I'm going to I thought I did one on all of the poly strings. I'll have to look to see if I put one like this together, because then I can offer that and be happy to send that to people too. So that they can have that, because it takes a little bit of time to put all those things together. It's not like I can do it with a spreadsheet easily. You have to manually input all those. So but it's kind of cool.
He's asking about tension. What tension is best for the 4G? Usually strings at 54. I mean, that's a super stiff string.
Yeah, maybe 2. I mean, you're not going to really feel a difference unless you go 2 or 3 pounds down. So I'd go 4 down.
I would too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a really 50. Yeah. I would 50. Too. I mean, we don't know what string pattern you're in. Is it?
Well, 16? I think he's in the 1690. If he's using the or wait, was that somebody else? No, yeah. I think the extreme that he's talking about is a 1619 pattern.
Yep, and he's putting that in the crosses.
Yeah. No, well, if it's I'm not 4G. Was he putting that in the 4G? Was he probably the mains?
Maybe that's a full bed he's talking about, or is he looking for a hybrid? Not sure, but
but I would go definitely go down to 50 and give that a shot, and see how that works. Because with some of those strings, people go pretty low on those. You can go pretty low on some of those tensions and still get some performance out of it. So I wouldn't worry about.
I think CC-PA is the biggest name using 4G, right? In a full bed.
Which one?
CC-PA.
I'm not sure.
Stefanos, I think he uses 4G in a full bed.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But I think we talked. Yeah, you might have talked about that on some of your. But yeah, so I mean, thanks for all the questions. That's always helpful when we can answer some questions that come in right away, and kind of helps us to guide our next stream and some questions that we want to answer and tips and so forth. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining us today. I think we should probably sign off on that, and maybe this week we'll get together again and work on some hybrid combinations, and maybe work on putting the spreadsheet together and putting something together with all of these numbers on it, so that way we can do some quick comparisons and kind of give some quick advice on those things, because I think that's really helpful. So
yeah, definitely. So yeah, enjoy the Australian Open too. It's let's see what happens.
It'll be fun to watch some stuff. So all right, everybody. So
that's interesting. Guido. CC-PA added natural gut in the crosses. Okay, I always thought it was wild that he used that. That's one extreme to the next, to go with one of the stiffest strings out there in a full bed, to all of a sudden put one of the softest strings out there.
Yeah.
It was giving him discomfort. I didn't hear that, but I'm not surprised the way, jeez.
I mean, that happens a lot. I mean, full poly, unless your tension is really low. I mean, for those guys, it doesn't really matter. They're only playing with it for a couple hours, but getting the right feel. But still,
they're playing.
You hear a lot of people that just full poly is just too much.
I didn't know that CC-PA had an elbow operation already.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Well, that makes sense then, that he's going with a natural gut. Wow.
And we also have another question here: full poly or hybrid with multi? Yeah. I would start just in general, I think. So I would definitely hybrid with a multi-filament. Yeah, get a good multi-filament. You can go thinner probably if you're doing it in the crosses. Do a 17 gauge multi. And earlier we talked about NXT. We talked about using NRG. We used Premiere maybe. So there's some good options for a multi in the crosses. And yeah, so yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. And
Yeah.
Nathan says thanks. So yeah, we appreciate everyone input, and have a good week out there, and stay safe, and watch some tennis.
Yeah, sounds good. We're getting 18 inches of snow tonight, starting at 9, they said. So,
Oh, nice,
yeah,
nice. Well, it's
well,
nice if you can stay inside. If you have to actually go out in it,
yeah,
that's a whole different thing, right? So,
I'll be inside.
all
I'll
right,
be inside.
all
Talk
right.
to you
We'll
soon.
we'll
Thanks,
see you soon.
everybody.